other champions in that division. You got Scott Quigg, Carl Frampton, Guillermo Rigondeaux.
I'm gonna get the opportunity, boy. You working your ass off, don't you?
Hey, that's what we do. That's what we do.
There's Boxing Nation. I see it, baby. Y'all the man.
That's what it is.
I love what you're doing for boxing.
Thank you, man.
Don't stop. Keep on going strong. Keep on going hard. A lot of big fights coming this year. A lot of big fights.
Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? Well, it looks like Mikey Garcia will finally be making his return back to the ring on July 30th against Elijo Rojas. That's going to be on the Leo Santa Cruz versus Carl Frampton undercard. So now that really makes that a good fight card out there in Brooklyn, Barclays Center again. And for those of you fans that live under a rock, let me just go ahead and make this clear so you know. Mikey Garcia, he's obviously not going to be fighting on a top-ranked Bob Arum card. He's not fighting on a Golden Boy Promotions card. Mikey Garcia is fighting on PBC. You know, for those of you guys who can relate to this, does anyone remember sometime in your life, maybe when you were a lot younger, maybe even now, where maybe you were working at a certain job? You've been working there for a while. But there was always this other job that was either down the street or somewhere in that town that you would do anything to get. Everybody, or at least the majority of people at your job, that's their dream, to actually upgrade and get that job down the street. Why? Because they pay more. The job maybe you're working at, you don't get benefits, no room for growth. Maybe your manager is an asshole, micromanages, whatever the case may be. You want to get that job down the street. Well, guys, that's exactly what the PBC series and Al Haymon is. They're that job down the street that the majority of fighters have been trying to get for quite some time. And that's where Mikey Garcia is heading to July 30th. I mean, we know it's something special about the PBC series when fighters like Leo Santa Cruz, who left Oscar De La Hoya and even named his son after Al Haymon. You had Adrian Broner and a couple other fighters that was offered big contracts by Rock Nation. They turned down those contracts to stay with Al Haymon. Now you have Mikey Garcia leaving Bob Arum to go to Al Haymon. They must have some good ass benefits over there. So anyway, Mikey Garcia, he's making his return, and I'm really looking forward to seeing Mikey Garcia and see how he looks. I know Rojas, he's been out of the ring for almost about 2 years as well. And his second to last fight, he actually lost to Johnny Gonzalez. So it'll be interesting. Now, once again, with Mikey Garcia fighting in the PBC series, it is so many great matchups that can be made, not only in the PBC series, but even with Top Rank, because according to Bob Arum, now Bob Arum is actually working with Al Haymon, so the possibilities when it comes to fights are endless. Now, one of the fights I'm already thinking about is Mikey Garcia versus Francis Bartholomew. That would be a hell of a fight. You have Francis Bartholomew, who realistically is pound for pound one of the best fighters in the world. I would say that he's a special talent. He's been beating a lot of really good fighters lately. He beat Shafikov. He just beat Mickey Bay. He's about to fight his mandatory, which is another undefeated prospect. But the only problem when it comes to that possible fight being made is Francis Bartholomew is another Cuban fighter. For those of you guys who might remember, the fighter that Mikey Garcia actually avoided, let's just keep it real and call it what it is. The fighter that Mikey Garcia did avoid was a Cuban fighter by the name of Yuriorkis Gamboa. That was actually a fight that HBO wanted to make, Bob Arum wanted to make, and Team Garcia, they were not interested in taking that fight. So I don't know if we'll get to see Garcia versus Francis Bartholomew. Mikey Garcia is a hell of a talent. He's 34-0, 28 knockouts. He has boxing ability. He has a great jab, a great 1-2 combination. He has one of the best 1-2s in the business. So he has the ability to compete with all of these guys. But the question is he going to get in the ring with them? Now, when I think about it a little bit more, considering the fact that now he's with Al Haymon, he probably will be more willing to get in the ring with these fighters. Because, see, you guys have to understand something. The difference from Al Haymon versus a Golden Boy or a Bob Arum is when you lose, let's say if you're signed with Bob Arum, Golden Boy, or anyone else outside of Al Haymon, when you lose, you usually go all the way back to the back of the long ass line, and it's like you have to start all the way over again. But with Al Haymon in the PBC series, it's more like a league. It's more like the NBA, the NFL. Basically, you lose this week, you're right back the very next week playing like you never even took an L. That's how it is with Al Haymon. We've seen this with Adrian Broner, where he lost to Sean Porter. It was almost less than 3 months later, Adrian Broner was right back in the ring like he just came off of a win and made $1 million in his very next fight. Same thing with Robert the Ghost Guerrero. Robert Guerrero, he obviously lost to Keith Thurman. Next thing you know, he gets brought back. He's fighting against Danny Garcia. And he's making $1 million. As the B-side, he's making $1 million. Okay? This is how it is. Or maybe I should say, these are some of the many benefits that you get when you're working with Al Haymon or when you're signed to Al Haymon. This is why so many fighters signed to Top Rank or Golden Boy promotions are so reluctant to step up in competition because they feel there's too much to lose. But when you have someone like Al Haymon basically saying, don't worry about losing. I'm going to bring you back. Your career is not going to be over. You're going to get the same opportunities that you got before. This is what you get when it comes to the PBC series. If you guys have noticed, the majority of times there's a PBC fight card put together, we're watching undefeated fighters go up against undefeated fighters. For example, just this past weekend, the opening bout for the Thurman versus Porter fight, it was Jarrett Hurd versus Oscar Molina. Two undefeated fighters. And we're not just talking about just undefeated fighters like some no-name guy that just hasn't fought anyone. No, we're talking about two of the best prospects going against each other. That's what we got. I think of fights like Chris Pearson versus Eric Walker. Another battle of the undefeateds. There's been a lot of undefeated fighters going up against each other on the PBC series because once again, you do not get punished for losing, for getting into an accident basically. And that's how all sports are supposed to be. So there are a lot of great matches out there for Mikey Garcia. Another great match I'm thinking about right now is possibly Mikey Garcia versus Lomachenko. We all know Lomachenko, he's fighting at 130 right now. He's already talking about having maybe one more fight at 130 and then moving up to 135. Now I know Bob Arum, he would love to make that fight. Lomachenko versus Mikey Garcia. Maybe he will, but then again, who knows? Unless things have gotten too personal with his fallout with Mikey Garcia and he doesn't want to do any kind of business with Mikey Garcia, but hopefully that's not the case. Mikey Garcia versus Lomachenko would be a hell of a fight. Another real good fight down the line would be Mikey Garcia versus Gervonta Tank Davis. Now that would be fire. Either one of those fights would be absolute fire. Just imagine Mikey Garcia versus Tank Davis or Lomachenko and being on free TV on top of all of that. We talking about some serious ass fireworks. So, and I'm just mentioning a couple of fights that can be made. But I'm telling you right now, things are looking really good for Mikey Garcia and the PBC series in Al Haymon. Matter of fact, this is a hell of a week for Al Haymon right now because they just put on Thurman versus Porter, which turned out to be the most watched fight of the year. And now they're pretty much signing one of the number one draft picks in boxing, which is Mikey Garcia. So things just keep getting better and better for Al Haymon. So we'll see how Mikey Garcia looks on the 30th of July. And that's all I got for now. I'm on to the next one.
Hi, you're watching Dante's Boxing Nation.